Welcome to Mams Talk, where Mams Talk Survivor. I'm Kay. I'm joined with my lovely co-host Jess.
Hello, so excited to talk some Survivor 46 today.
Yeah, I mean, crazy season.
Yes.
And welcome Frankie back as a ma'am. How are you feeling about the conclusion of this epic season?
In some ways it's like duh, but in other ways I'm like still feeling just like kind of like unsettled by it in a weird way. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of dreaming. I can't describe it. Like the outcome is not surprising, but there are so many things that I feel unsettled by.
Yeah.
So
We will definitely get into the thick of it of how we're feeling. I do wanted to address that Zach, who was here for our draft, he did win picking Kenzie.
Yes.
It has his first pick. I think first overall pick.
First
overall
pick of the draft.
So
Yes.
I mean, major snipe right there.
And I do have I will be accepting this award on his behalf.
Oh my God.
we will we will send it away for engraving. The intention of this selection was he could consume alcohol out of it in a shot form if he'd like to.
Yeah.
And it will be presented to him at a later date. But congratulations to Zach, first overall pick, winner of Survivor.
Yeah.
Like, when does that happen? It's giving LeBron James. Like, it's giving Caitlin Clark. Like, when does that ever happen? So
Yeah.
Huge shout out to Zach, wherever you may be.
He's in the land of leprechauns.
He is.
Tis, yes.
But congrats
huge shout
to
out
him.
to Zach. Huge shout out.
He knew more than I did. I was so confident that Jess would do well, and she went out what second?
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were referring to you were really confident that I would do well in the draft. And
and you did do well. You did do well.
I gave a good fight.
Yeah,
in the draft.
Some of us didn't do so well.
It was definitely the Zach and Jess show over here
for like a month. For at least one calendar month, both Kay and myself have just been like onlookers in this game, which is
well, here's the thing, my hot tribe I was really holding out hope for, and a hot person did win Survivor.
It's true.
Yes. But she was gone before I could even consider her. So
you did want to take her, I remember, for your hot.
I did really. I think she was my second pick, but I picked Jess over her. But you can't win them all. Next time, we'll all band together to make sure Zach does not win.
Yeah.
So
Zach had a really good. He had the final four. He had 3 of the final 4 in his team. That's pretty crazy. He had Kenzie, obviously, and then he had Liz and Ben. Not that I don't think anyone thought Liz or Ben was winning at a point, but
Liz did, Ben did.
Well,
yeah, which is so crazy because like I feel like when I was picking people, I was like, logically, none of these people are gonna make it. So like, why would I pick these people? And then like this season was not a logical season, which I think we will get into. So I feel like I remember when we were picking, Zach was like, I just feel like they're like a good person, so I'm gonna pick them. And I'm like, oh, Zach's gonna be out like immediately. And then the joke was on me. My egg is on my face. Like that was it.
I think we should eat crow like Wendy Williams.
Like
Frankie being out,
that's on us.
You being out almost completely, like all in a row, was crazy, Frankie.
It was crazy, but like I said before, and I'll say it again, I do think that my perceptions of people like were correct, but I just think it was like the wrong thing.
Right.
So
but that sequence, your people getting voted out one after another was giving the multiple idols that were not played back to back to back. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that was a crazy I don't want to say twist because it's not really a twist in the game sense, but a crazy surprise that I was not expecting this season was for not a single idol to even be attempted to be played. And everyone going home with an idol in their pocket, you just kept thinking, there's no way that they're gonna make the same mistake again. And then they did. And then they did, and they still went home with the idol in their pocket.
Yeah. And I think it's it also just goes to this season, excuse me, one of the words that I used to describe this season was like that everybody was just very copacetic, like everybody was getting along with each other very well. And I think that even though we could see that there was a lot going on behind the scenes, I think that it showed that to a degree, even if people were paranoid, they were comfortable enough to feel like they didn't have to use their idol. Whereas I feel like if I were ever to play Survivor, I would just like want to use it right away because I would feel like I was going to get voted out every single day. Which is why I don't really want to play Survivor. Because I feel like I would be so I like wouldn't be sleeping. So yeah, it's interesting to see like even just I feel like part of wanting to play Survivor is like that's part of gameplay is finding those idols and using it. Like everybody was so excited to find them and then being like, I have to use this the right way. And it's like, so like also the point of normally those idols come back into the game when someone goes out with one and nobody thinking, oh my gosh, the person who got voted out must have had this. Like nobody made that connection either. Nobody was like, oh, Hunter got voted out and now I just found this idol. Like he must have gotten voted out with this, like that, like nobody was kind of like making those connections really. So just like a lot of that, that was also interesting to see as well for me.
I do think that I feel the opposite. I feel like I can say all I want that like, oh my God, how did you not know you were going? You're so stupid for not using it. But like, I think that I would not use it. Like, I think I would have a false sense of security and I would try and save it for like when I needed it. And then I feel like I would get got. I really do. Like, I think I would be every single one of those people.
I also think that's like way more impressive. And everyone in the season was very focused on like getting that big move, like having that like resume thing. And like you see like Marianne like had that big moment at her final tribal where she pulls out the idol and it's like, I didn't even need to use this, right?
Yeah.
So I think people were really hoping to have a moment like that. But to your point, Frankie, like people were very comfortable. And I think a lot of that is because of the other contestants making them very comfortable. Someone like a Kenzie, I think she did a really good job of like making people think that she was always on their side, even if she wasn't. And I think that's probably her strongest like point for me. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
I agree. I do think that I have said this, right after watching the finale. I do think her and Charlie played very similar games in that way. But I do think that like Kenzie's obviously a social player. That is her first and foremost biggest, bright side about her, upside about her, game is that she's a social player. And I think she did do a really, really good job, making herself just fit in every single social situation like seamlessly.
Yeah, but it is interesting because she doesn't really have that like move that everyone was so focused on the whole time. Like what was her move that she got Tim out? Is that what she said?
No, I don't remember what she said actually. I just remember her mistake was voting, not being in on the TIFF blind side was her mistake.
Right.
But I can't remember what she said her big move was.
I don't even remember.
Yeah. I mean, that's almost like she almost could have flipped that. Like the TIFF blindside could have been a Kenzie blindside, but it wasn't. Like every blindside could have been a Kenzie blindside, but it wasn't. So like that could have been something that she said too. They really never like except for like maybe once, they really were never like, we need to go for Kenzie. Because like, and I think that she played that very well. Like And honestly, the same thing with Charlie. Like, there was so, like, I think Venus at one point was kind of like murmuring about Charlie because I think, but
Yeah.
mostly because she was trying to like throw it off of herself. But
Yeah.
I do think they played very similar games. I think that Charlie specifically, I think that he very tactfully played a game where he I think that male survivor players, if you play too hard with a bunch of women on your tribe, can come off as like super aggressive. And I think that he did a really good job of playing a game with women that didn't feel patronizing and felt like allyship. And I think that like, and they kind of addressed it in the beginning of the game when he was like, all my bosses have been women, like I just really know like how to befriend women. I think that's kind of how they like integrated the whole Taylor Swift thing. But like, you see like Charlie playing with these women, and then you see like Ben, who's on the same tribe, but like Ben kind of was never playing. Like Ben wasn't really gaming. And Charlie and Ben were like equally, like they were kind of equal in some ways, but Ben was never really playing at all. And Charlie was kind of trying to like integrate and like befriend people. And I think that like Charlie was playing with the women around him, and Ben was kind of playing like Ben was playing like as himself, just like as like, and then everyone else was playing around him, if that makes sense. So I think that was interesting to see. And like I think that Charlie played a very gentle game, which I think that we haven't seen in a while, like from a player like Charlie.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I feel like he did play a game that like wouldn't really ruffle many feathers, but like the jury still had a really big issue with
Yeah,
him.
I know.
It was very bizarre. I was like, I don't know what else he could have done to make this jury like him.
I
right.
know. It
It
was like,
felt
and
Yeah.
the thing that like I thought was interesting is like they were ready to crown Maria had she gotten to the end, but then the complaint was, have you differentiated yourself enough from Maria? And it's like, well, the differentiation is she's not sitting here and I am, you know? So it's like, if you would have voted for Maria at the end, I don't really see a reason why you wouldn't vote for Charlie at the end, in my opinion. And I also think
Yeah.
he played a better game than Maria at the end of the day, because while Maria was very like blazing through with her mission, like a mission that she was here to execute it. She had a very like tunnel vision on what she wanted. Charlie was like there with her, but also had options outside of her. Whereas Maria may have had Q, but she didn't really have the same options outside of Charlie that Charlie had outside of Maria, in my opinion.
Think about all the people who used to come to Charlie with their plans, and nobody came to Maria because they knew that Maria was like gunning for everybody, and they knew that Charlie was like Maria's closest person. So they knew that if they had a plan that like they could go to Charlie with it, and then Charlie could kind of like work Maria for them. And I think that if you think about it, like the only person who would approach Maria is Q. And if you think about Q's personality, like he's not a very like he's not a very gentle person like compared to Charlie. So I think in many ways Charlie and Maria's working together was just kind of like circumstantial. Like they happened to be on the same tribe, they happened to kind of hit it off, and then they were together through the merge, they were together, like they just stayed together. I think I mean obviously like I was surprised that Ben and Charlie, I didn't perceive them like as close, but like it made more
that was
sense.
interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like we didn't get that at all, and then all of a sudden it was like down to him and Kenzie, who we had seen so much bonding with with Ben, and then it was like, well, I have to go with my boy Charlie.
My number
like,
one. I know.
Where?
I thought that was such a weird editing choice. I was sure that he was going to take Kenzie just solely based on the edit, but
it was heavy-handed. It was a heavy-handed Kenzie and Ben like
so
narrative
heavy-handed.
edit.
I was like, well, it's so obvious.
And
and maybe they
like,
think that they're pulling like something over eyes, but like at the end of the day, it just kind of doesn't make sense.
Yeah, when the full extent of Ben and Charlie's relationship that we've seen is just them doing their little song battle, I don't really think that
Which
that's
was-
enough of a reason for
Yeah,
him
which
to
was
be.
cute.
And it
but
was
I
also
don't
like
know.
it was also week 2, you know, like we haven't
Right,
seen
like
anything
Jem was
since
still
then.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, if you think about it, it would have made more sense to kind of edit it more so, like keep less Kenzie and Ben in, because then it would have made more sense that he
Mhm.
sent Kenzie to fire.
Yes.
So I was like, why is he sending Kenzie? Like, why is he even creating a possibility that Kenzie won't be next to him when she has been like, you know, making him a bottle and sending him back to sleep every night? Like,
yeah.
it was just very confusing to me. Like,
Yeah.
that was one of the things that felt unsettling to me. It almost felt disrespectful in a way, because men don't understand like emotional labor and reciprocity in that way, in my opinion. Like, that's kind of how it felt. Like, it made it seem like he didn't value like what Kenzie was doing for him. But then, like, since he has said that he has said that Charlie has been as supportive emotionally, like was as supportive emotionally of him, like through those night terrors and through those anxiety attacks, like, which is fine, but like that was not how it came off.
Mm-hmm.
They edited them doing boy things together, and then they edited Kenzie doing woman things for him, like taking care of him and supporting him emotionally. So like that's what I was led to believe as a viewer. So that's why I was confused when he was like having a really tough time deciding between her and Charlie, especially because Charlie could have annihilated Liz and fire in seconds. Like, just from what we saw in his practice.
Yeah, let's talk about fire like a little bit more. Like the whole so Ben wins the challenge, right?
Shockingly.
He's on
a huge turn of events. Ben wins the challenge.
He's on a high. By the way, good challenge.
Loved
good
it.
Challenge. Like
keep it.
Challenge.
Do you hear that, Jess? Keep it.
Good challenge. Let's switch it up sometimes. It doesn't always have to be an obstacle course. Just you can keep that. You can run it
They
down.
don't have to be covered in mud, Jess.
They don't have
to be covered in mud.
They don't have to be dirty.
I know you love having a little PA there to hand Lizard glasses afterwards. But they don't have to be covered in mud.
But yeah, okay. Anyway, so Ben wins that, and he's like riding his little high. He's like, I finally did it. And then we get the funny moment of him like, oh shit.
I also just want to say that moment was truly setting up for him having to pick the winner in a tie. Like, if it had gone from him being like, God, this is my worst nightmare, choosing between two of my closest friends on the island, what am I supposed to do? And then you get that, and then later in the episode he has to break the tie.
Yeah.
Would have been life-changing for me to watch that happen.
It's called a rising action for all you in literary, English majors. It's foreshadowing. He couldn't make a decision. And then it was very tough for him. And then ultimately he would have gained the strength to, in the event of a true tie. Like, that would have been really good.
That would have been a character for sure.
It would have been insane if that happened.
But
anyway,
he makes a decision though.
He does.
And he knows deep in his heart that he just has to do something about Liz because she's such a big threat.
She's such a big threat.
Okay, listen, I'm so sorry.
Did he believe that? That's my question. Did he believe that, or was he placating her? Because
I really think he believed that.
And again, I'm not going to fault anyone for their perception on the island, because I know we're seeing everything. They're seeing 1/18 of what we're seing.
Sure.
Ben is sleep deprived.
He's sleep deprived. He is, he's on 2 hours of sleep per night out on the island for 26 days. But I truly am baffled at the difference in the way that he was viewing her, and not only we were viewing her, but the rest of the jury and other contestants were viewing her.
And I don't even want to say that she like wasn't playing, because I think she was doing more actively than like Ben was.
Yeah.
But I think the leap to say that she was absolutely going to obliterate everyone it was just very interesting to me because that's not what I saw. I would have
Especially,
loved to see what she would have had to say at the final tribal.
I also think saying that,
Yeah.
especially when the two other people you're choosing from are Charlie and Kenzie, two of the best players on the season objectively the entire time, and then the person you know definitively you're sending to fire is Liz because you don't want to sit next to her. Like, and I have to say I loved when Charlie said that he would 100% take Liz to the final three because he said what we were all thinking. He said what we were all thinking. Like, she was from the beginning going to be the person everyone wanted to take to final three. It was just like,
Right.
it was so clear.
And even if she did like a bang up job, like whatever, she had her whole like fake millionaire bit, like her whole whatever.
Sorry, you gotta spell that out a little bit.
So she,
because this just came out.
So since like there were Twitter rumors that formerly Twitter rumors that she was a billionaire, but then like more realistic rumors that she was a millionaire. Then on the finale, she like very like in passing said to Ben, "Yeah, I mean, I'm a millionaire. I don't need the money." And then after she was like after fire, she's like, I was like on Twitter for formerly Twitter was like, that was a lie. I actually support 3 households with my income, and I was lying about being a millionaire, and I was going to drop that at final tribal, and I was gonna win and reveal that. That was gonna be my big like reveal.
Okay, what do we think the reaction from the jury would have been when she would have revealed that? Because I remember earlier in the season she's bragging to Tevin about it, and Tevin's not taking it well. Like, so how do you think that they would receive that information?
I personally think not well. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't believe her that she's not a millionaire. I feel like I would have been like, oh, so she realized that us knowing about her money was a bad look, and now she's changing the narrative in the 11th hour.
That would be crazy if someone who actually was a millionaire came on and like was like, I'm impoverished. I'm struggling so
I guess
bad.
it really depends on what exactly she would have said, because I feel like there's a point where it becomes like, well, okay, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that's a really it's on an unheard of strategy. I don't know how it would land.
Liz is
I have a couple
unique
thoughts.
person.
I have a couple thoughts. It's giving like Willy Wonka somersaulting and standing up at the beginning of Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
You know,
she didn't even need the cane.
Right. I mentioned this. I think I don't know. I feel like I've said it a few times, but I really think about the jury, and I think of every single member of the jury. Soda, Tevin, Venus, like those people specifically, and we'll throw Q in there as well. We'll even throw like Hunter, and we'll throw, let's just say the whole jury. I can't think of one person who would be like, I'm gonna give Liz $1 million. I can't think of, like, regardless of her story, I can't think of one person that would be like, I think like that Liz played a game that is deserving of winning $1 million. I'm gonna write it down. Liz Wilcox, here's $1 million. I think especially like because of the way, like, the people who bore witness to the way that she behaved when she wasn't chosen for that reward. I think like I think that was really tough. I think that was like a tough watch. Like, I can't imagine that Q would vote for her, and she would need 5. I mean, unless there were vote splits, so let's say she would need 4 people. I can't imagine she would get 4 people, or like the max, like 3. Like, I can't imagine she would get 3. So I think that would be tough. And I think even just seeing her be so confident that she would have won is very, once again, unsettling. I can't imagine that the edit was so different than what happened on the island, that that the circumstances like would have been so different. And it's very, very stressful to my mind. So
her reaction of like, he's 100% right. I was gonna beat all your asses, like that
That's why I would have
whole.
loved to see her
Oh,
actually
I would
argue her
have.
case, because she would have been like on Delulu Hours
Yeah.
1000.
I
Yes,
would have
I would
loved to
have
see
loved
Jeff's
it.
reaction to it.
Oh, that's
Like,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious
It
about his actual real life feelings about this
Me
cast,
too.
because they were a lot during this final tribal.
Oh,
Yeah.
they were certainly a lot. The
I mean,
jury culture was like very crazy to witness. The vibe was like, and I do think that like, because they're obviously all living together, there's very much like a hive mind that occurs with the jury. There's a culture that's set. Everyone
yeah.
kind of goes in with the same mentality.
And I don't know if you guys heard, but Venus, after she got voted out, during her exit press, she was saying that like when she arrived at Ponderosa, there was a lot of hostility
Mm,
upon her
yeah.
entrance. And people have since then denied it. I
She
think there's
alleged that they
probably
wouldn't speak to her.
I think the truth
mm,
probably lies somewhere in the middle.
mhm.
But it's not totally unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a really interesting vibe. I did not love the I just don't love when final tribal councils have like zero care for the people who are arguing their case. Like I think that you have to like acknowledge that it's been a long road, and like even if you don't respect their moves or their arguments, or like you think that they wronged you, I think you need to be like, I think that that's almost the one point in the game where you have to start thinking about like treating them as people rather than like the game still. I know the game is technically still on, but it's just like once you're on the jury, you're not losing anything. So I just feel like it's sort of
Yeah.
unnecessary to like kind of tear them down when they're already like kind of bearing their soul and like doing the hardest thing that they've done so far after this like insane journey. But
Yeah, and to
And
like
also,
start off that the like questioning with just like being like, so we're not gonna talk about pop culture. You're not gonna do your little Taylor Swift references or rock and roll. It just like felt really unnecessary before they even like started. Like you could have just
mhm,
asked your question, and if they're being
mhm,
unserious, then you can address it. I don't know. It just
mhm.
felt like everyone was trying to have like a little like gotcha moment, an extra like 5 minutes of fame for
Uh-huh.
them their time on.
100%.
I've never heard the jury talk so much in my life.
Everyone was like really like gearing up to like defend their moves in this thing where like no one's voting for you. You are not arguing your case. And like honestly, I don't care if what the people on the final tribal are saying is true or not. And I don't care if you have a story that can refute that. I really don't care. I don't need to hear it. Like everybody was like, well, actually, the move that happened was actually this. And honestly, the only time I was actually here for it was when like Hunter said, well, actually, Charlie, yes, that's true. But I will say, I personally felt the most secure not using my idol because of Kenzie, who's also sitting up there. And I felt like that was fair because it was like, I don't want to take this away from someone else who's also has their, they're up for the vote. But when it was people being like, no, I did that, I was like, well, we're not voting for you.
mhm.
Like you're
Sex
not
isn't
one of the
about
three.
you.
So
I do like, I definitely, like, I know that we disagree upon like what, like the Taylor Swift thing and like them saying that in the beginning. I understand, like, I know, like, I could definitely see like them being like, just like wanting to shift the narrative back and being like, I want to have more time to talk about like myself, and like we're not talking about Taylor Swift, and like we're not talking about bands and everything. But I also noticed that like as soon as they said that, like Ben said like two words the entire final tribal. And I wonder, like, had they not said that, I wonder how much of his final tribal would have just been like himself like making those references, but like that's not like super relevant to his gameplay. And then I also think about how like those types of things like were his entire gameplay and like really weren't Charlie's gameplay at all. So like his entire gameplay kind of was his personality and like was his social game, which like was wrapped up in those references, which like were like snuffed out immediately. Which I do think that they kind of like had a conversation as a jury beforehand and were like, we need to say something. We need to level set with them in the beginning and be like, please don't say this. And I do think that Tiff was the one that said it. But I think they were barely part of Charlie's gameplay, which is why he was able to kind of like compensate for it immediately. But I think that like that was Ben's entire game. And I think that it kind of like knocked Ben off his feet immediately. And he like had no answer. Like when they were like, Ben, what was your like the first question? Like Ben had really no answer for it. Like Ben had no answer for the first question because he didn't really like play a game in it. Like like, and I think that had they not said that to him, which I do think kind of hurt Ben's feelings a little bit.
Well,
like the way that it was said.
I think it's fair. I mean, if he wants to get up there and quote Metallica for the entire 30 seconds he has to speak, then he can do that, you know? Like, and if he can't not do that, then don't vote for him because and like he obviously doesn't have something to say, you know? And like I also think it's just really like patronizing, I guess, like to the I feel like that's the wrong word, but like, you know, demeaning, because it's like assuming that neither of them have anything of value to say right off the bat, you know? And it's like I don't think that's a fair assumption. But
I think that there is a way that they could have approached like saying like we are really hoping to hear precisely about your gameplay in a way. Like they didn't really structure Final Tribal like they normally do. They didn't let the final three do like opening statements like they normally do. Their closing was very like they were very like strict about their closing too. And I do think that it kind of like just the way that it was opened, like with that kind of like knocked the wind out of everybody's sails. I don't completely disagree with the sentiment, but I do think that it was harsh, like the way that it came off. Like 100%.
And like walking in and like seeing like you're already nervous, you're seeing all the people you have to talk to, and then it feels like you're already like, oh damn, they don't want to hear what I have to say. You know, like that's already the like vibe that you're coming in with. It's like frustrating.
Especially because it was directed toward everybody but Kenzie, and Tiff was the one saying it.
That's true. I think if it would have been even for everyone, like like everyone take this seriously, I think it probably would have been better.
Or if they were like but it just like I don't know. And like and I don't think like Tiff was a bitter juror. I don't think Soda was bitter. Like I don't think that it was about bitterness. I think like the jury was just trying to create like a power dynamic.
That's
and
it felt like an ego thing for me.
It was an ego thing, and they wanted to know like right from the beginning. They were like, we have control over you right now, and we get to decide who gets $1 million, and you just have to do what we say. And that's and like that's kind of what it felt like for me, more than anything else. So
and it definitely was like interesting, like we're talking about it obviously, but I'm curious, like what are your thoughts on this format where like anyone can talk at any time versus the old one where you like take turns, like one person stands up and you know that's their question.
I still prefer the old format. I think it has a lot more ceremony to it. I think it like I don't really think the jury should. I mean, I guess they're not really timed, probably. I don't know what the like process is, obviously, because we're seeing like an edited cut. Like, I don't know if they could just talk for however long they want if they wanted to.
I think they probably can.
I think they probably could too. But I just think I don't think that the jury should be cutting off the finalists while they're speaking to like interject and like. I guess it's fine. Like, I do think I learned some interesting things hearing them speak. But I do think it kind of like, I don't know, like, I'm not voting for you. Like I said, like, I don't know that I really care what you have to say. And I do think that like the finalists should be able to claim whatever moves are their moves. And if you believe them, you believe them. And if you don't, you don't. And, you know, that's sort of like part of it for me.
I think that it eliminates a level of respect that once existed before. However, with the way that everything is in Survivor now, like and I will elaborate on that, but I'll finish the thought first. With the way that everything is in Survivor now, just to speak generally, the format's completely different. So it makes sense that the format of Final Tribal changes too, because it wouldn't make sense if the the format in of the entire game is incredibly lackadaisical, and then the format of Final Tribal is very regimented and incredibly, like you said, Jess, like very what did you say that I really liked? Ceremonial.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and very reverent and very respectful. Like that wouldn't make sense because 25 minutes ago Jeff let Liz go help Kenzie in the middle of the game. So why would it make sense for him to be like, I'm sorry, can you stop interrupting? Like we're past interrupting. Liz had a fucking mental breakdown and screamed at the sky in queue. Jeff was eating fucking Twizzlers during Tribal. So I think that we're past respect. I think we're past respect. And I think if we wanted there to, I think we're past order. And then like if we wanted, like we're almost past like torch snuffing. In my opinion, like the ceremony of tribal council,
they don't even vote.
Sometimes they don't even vote.
Because I'm not gonna vote. Like it's and just
no, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go on, please.
I think it's disrespectful. Like to me, it felt disrespectful to the game of Survivor when we're clapping for people like Liz who were eliminated. When the only other person who I've ever remembered clap that was eliminated was Sandra Diaz Twine. And that is not the same, in my opinion. Because we clapped for Sandra when it was the first time her torch was ever snuffed. And that's the only other time I ever remember them clapping at Tribal when somebody was eliminated. And like that's not the same in my brain. Like that shows respect for somebody, not because you pretended to stab yourself in the neck with the flint knife. Like while you're making fire, like we need Super Nanny for Survivor. Like something is a mock. It just is very like it's just all gone wrong somewhere. I don't know if it's the 26 days, like Jeff's hugging people now when they win challenges. It's like this is like the youngest child of Survivor. We don't have a curfew. Mom and Dad have given us no rules.
Yeah, they've given up on parenting for sure.
Yeah. So
yeah, and honestly, I do think that vibe is quite goofy fun. I enjoyed the silly, unserious nature of this season overall.
You know what silliness I really enjoyed?
The slapstick nature, that's the word I was looking for.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say more of a camp thing that was added was the little model shoot from the jury.
Oh yeah. It was actually really very Big Brother coded.
I was like,
almost,
oh wait. I was like, slay. Like Venus.
I didn't really
walk.
I didn't like them walking through the jungle in their regular clothes. Didn't they do that last year?
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe.
I think they did. Well, because I remember they were like, something we used to do was we would pay tribute to our fallen comrades, and I was like, oh no, they're bringing it back. I don't want to pay tribute to the fallen comrades. I watched every single season on Paramount Plus and I said skip when it was time to pay tribute to the fallen comrades.
And then they light it all on fire.
Yeah. I don't think I genuinely ever watched a single one of those. But they were like, but we're not doing that. We're going to do this instead, which I do prefer because I like to hear where the jury's head's at. Like I said, it's very Big Brother. It's like you kind of get like a confessional talking about like what they're thinking going into the final tribal, but it was deeply unserious to see them all in their little outfits in the jungle.
Yeah, I remember them doing the last time I think they did that was Cal Wrong, because I remember Ty and Michelle Fitzgerald doing it with Aubrey.
A little like model shoot.
No, the fallen comrades.
With like all the torches, and then they like all light them on fire. I remember during Pearl Islands there was one, and there was a female contestant, Johnny Fairplay, like alluded to the fact that she had like nice breasts, like something like that.
I mean. Bring back old school.
Right. Yeah. Another thing that is happening, and like the reason why I think like this is like I'm acknowledging that Survivor is changing and it's upsetting to me, but like other people like it, is because all of the Paramount reality shows are just becoming Big Brother, and I don't watch Big Brother. Like Survivor's becoming Big Brother, The Challenge is becoming Big Brother, and I'd assume Big Brother is becoming more Big Brother.
Big
And they-
Brother. I don't know. I think Big Brother's
I think
doing
it's
something else.
I think it's
Yeah.
it's
I
evolving
think
into
it's I
something
think it's becoming like
else.
a kids cartoon show.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
So,
that's
yeah,
that's
so
for a different
Survivor
time.
Survivor is old school Big Brother, and then new school Big Brother is
Hmm.
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's something I noticed, and I think that like it seems like this new season of Survivor, they're pulling in like other people know, like John Lovett's on it, and who is did you see
Yes.
that? And
Yes,
like
I
other
did.
people, another person people know is
Asia
on it.
from
Asia from
RHAP.
Rob has a podcast.
Yeah, like
Yes.
I
like
don't know
other
if
people
they
are on it.
know. I guess they maybe know of her, but
It's
like,
giving, which
yeah.
is like giving like kind of obviously like white vibes, like people are
Mhm.
on it, like so like they're just trying to change, like they're trying to like give Survivor some like new flair, which is fine. But like obviously, I mean, then they announced like, oh, like 50 is gonna have returning players, and like everybody is like hitting the gym immediately. Like all the old people are like, what? Like,
Yeah.
like people are like actually excited about it. So I mean, we still have the whole vote to talk about. So
Yeah.
let's circle back.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
I
can
just
back.
one final thing is I don't
Yeah.
necessarily have an issue with this format with the jury, but I think where it gets to a point where I can't watch it as a viewer when like the final three can't get their thoughts out because they keep
Yeah.
getting
Mhm.
interrupted.
Yes.
Which I guess has always existed. Like if a
Mhm.
person gets up and they're like, someone really like bitter gets up and is like, no, I'm not gonna let you finish. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, like
it's happened.
TV,
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, like that's like one person
an
from a
extreme
cast,
example.
maybe two, not like anytime
Every
someone
question.
speaks, you know. So that's just my problem with that, but we can certainly move on. I do want to address the question, what will you do with the money?
Please. I don't want to address it because I deeply disagree with this question. I mean, okay, so here's the thing. Obviously, people can ask whatever question they want. That's approved by production, and people can vote with whatever criteria they choose.
Certainly.
However, I really don't like when personal history and like when all that comes into the voting decision, because I think that it's like, what are we doing here? Like, why did we play this whole game if it's just going to come down to who you think had the best story for what they'll use the money for, you know?
Yeah, I also think like some people don't want to air out all their stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
right.
Yeah, and it's like
if I
and
went on,
Kenzie-
I would not want to talk about like my struggles. I
Mhm.
mean, I guess these people are, you know, built for reality
Yeah.
television, so they probably do. But some people, I don't think they would. And asking that
Mhm.
question is kind of forcing them to be like, "Here's my sob story. Please listen
Mhm.
to it."
Or
yeah.
the thing
Sorry,
that
go ahead.
happens more often is people feel obligated to have some grand plan for the money when in today's economy, $1 million you're putting it in the bank. Like
And by
you're
a
gonna
million, you mean 500,000.
yeah, like
Because
you
like you're not
after
getting a
taxes,
million.
you're going it's
Yeah.
going in the bank, it's putting a down payment on a house. Like that's what people are doing these days. Like no one is like, and I know Ben had a bunch of like charity stuff he wanted to do, and obviously like if you have the money and you want to like donate some of it to charity, like that's a like totally great thing to do. But I don't think anyone should have to stand up there and be like, I'm going to and that is one thing I will say, because I appreciated Kenzie's response to this, because she was upfront about the fact that like this money is going into, you know, fostering her future, but like I potentially only hit home with the contestants because she like had a personal need for it, you know, like whereas like if you want to buy a new house with it, buy a new house with it. Like I don't care. Like I want to vote for I don't want to vote for who is going to do the most amazing thing with the money. Like that's not at all what I would be voting about, you know.
Mm-hmm. And like, first of all, I simply don't care what you're gonna do with the money.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Don't
that like Survivor has like progressed so far beyond, like it's like not even about the money. Like the people who play Survivor, it's barely even about the money at this point, like because we have gone so deep into the super fan of it all. Like they're not playing for $1 million, they're playing to play Survivor. And I think that like seasons like 41 to 45 did such a good job, like really hammered that home, that we're like, oh right, they're actually playing for $1 million. Like we kind of forgot about that. Also, like this was just my perception of it. Like I kind of thought that like Charlie was just kind of making stuff up. Like I think that he does want to go to.
I don't think he
Yeah.
really
I think
thought
he wants to go
about
to law
it.
school, but I think that
Yeah.
when he was like, I want to give like some to charity, like I don't care what you do with it. Also, if your plan is to win the money for charity, what you should do, which is smarter, is go on Survivor, become famous, and then use your platform to raise money for charity, and then make more money than $1 million, and
So
then give it
true.
away.
Wow.
Like you could do better than that. Like you don't have to win to give your money to charity. Like it's like your plan is dumb. Don't do that. Like you could take the money and like you could take your money and pay off your student loans and like I don't know, I think Ben was saying he lives with his parents or something. Like he didn't say that during Final Tribal, but he said it like prior to that. He was talking to Liz about it. Like you could, you know, buy your way out of your parents' house. Like you could get a car. He doesn't even have his license. Like you could do whatever you want with your money. You could go buy like 1,000 pizzas. I don't care. Like, and that's the thing is like, I truly don't care. We have never cared what people have done with the money. Like back in 2000 when $1 million was more like $1 million to now in 2024 when $1 million is more like $300,000. Like we truly don't care. And the fact that like people do care, like that's what made like Q vote for Kenzie is fucked up to me. Like straight up, like it's fucked up to me. So because now you're virtue signaling about like Survivor. I mean, like it's a privilege to play Survivor. Like it's just it's a messed up thing. In my opinion.
Also is like, and honestly, it makes me upset more that like Q said that, because I'm like, Kenzie deserves the win for more than the fact that she has struggled. She deserves the win for her game that she has played.
Yeah.
And the fact that like that's the decision, that's the question that won you her vote, is like, it's again, like he can vote however he wants and whatever, like no one's gonna stop him, but I think that she deserved to win on not that criteria.
And like Charlie purposefully had to dance around the fact that he went to Harvard, which like he had to like purposefully like not like leave that out of the thing, when in the past people who in Final Tribal have been like could have been like, I'm a Harvard educated lawyer and this is why I've outwitted you in this game.
Right. Yeah.
Like he has to like, people have to like play around their identity because they have to be viewed as like a very average person.
Yeah.
And like an everyman, because they don't want to be seen as like above anyone else, because then they won't be thinking that they like need the money. Like it's just like I didn't like that.
Yeah. It's like, and
sorry, I do kind of want to move on from this.
Okay.
But if that's okay, because we have a lot to talk about still. But it does seem like this is like something that probably made Kenzie win. Like she is very deserving, and like I don't want to take anything away from her, but so she does win, and then we're immediately put to the after show.
Which is another thing we have to talk about, is the immediate after show of it all, which is like, was funny the first time we did it and it was necessary at the time, but I think it's
and it was like champagne and pizza.
Yeah, and it was like silly goofy. It was like, guess what? We're reading the winners right now, and guess what? Pizza and champagne, and we're bringing out the little cutout of the logo, and we're gonna sit down and whatever. And like even then, when Xander was like, saw his life flash before his eyes and had to sit and eat pizza and champagne with all the people like right after he lost. But I think it's time that we move away from the live after show.
Or Charlie, like, are you Jeff going to sit there and look at Charlie's face and ask him the questions that you asked him about, like, do you feel betrayed by Maria, who just voted you out 1 minute
And is
ago?
sitting right
No,
next to you.
it's the
How
fact
are you
that
gonna
we
like look him in the eye and be like, yeah, we should keep doing this?
and also the fact that like it's like, all right, and who voted for who? And also if things he loves to do his little like if things had been different. I don't think he did it this time, but you know, if Charlie, if you did this, who would have voted for Charlie? And then he loves to be like, yeah, and you lost. Like,
There
but
you go.
when they used to do it, it was like
Yeah.
a year after. So it's
Right.
like
People have
you know,
processed, like
yeah.
it's still tender, but it's not
Mhm.
like you're currently like haven't processed.
Starving.
You know, you
And
haven't had food.
You haven't
I'm
slept, you
also
haven't eaten. Give them at least a night.
showered.
Like, oh my God. Like, let them stay at a hotel for a night and do it. Like, damn.
And I've also always been under the belief that like in that year they have just like made calls and figured out if they won or not, which I know is like kind of like maybe not true because I like whatever. I've just always known that like if like they probably know if they won or not, or like if they have a chance. So just to know that like you have just done final tribal, they have just voted, and like it's very real and very raw. Like you have to process like I don't know, you haven't seen your family in a month. Like you don't know what's going on at your house. Like you don't I don't know. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
not it should be retired.
It really
It
should.
be
Like,
retired.
we're well past the point of it being necessary, and it's just cruel. Like, truly is
Yeah.
just cruel.
And there are like things that they clearly are cutting corners with for like budget reasons that I'm like, all right, fine, 26 days isn't really change the game that much. Like, fine, they're in Fiji every time. Does the location really like get me going that much? No, it would be nice, like, but you know, for what it's worth, it's probably not gonna, you know, sway them. But this, it's like you can't take one night out of the year to bring them back together to like
I'm
create
also
something
like,
special.
They don't even
I
need
also
they don't need an audience. Like
They
they
don't
it
even
could
need
just
an
be
audience.
no,
them.
they don't. And the thing that makes me the most angry as a viewer is like obviously what we've already talked about, but I'm like, what are we talking about? What are we spending this half hour talking about? They have not watched the season. They do not know what the edit is. They do not know anything that happened outside of their perception and what they've talked about with people. What
Yeah.
are we talking about?
They
like,
don't know. And also Jeff doesn't know what's significant yet. We spent so much of that time talking about things that like don't really matter. Like we were
Right.
talking about like the songs people were
Yeah.
singing and like, oh, Tiff really had to look for that idol. And yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, is this really what like was important? Why are we not talking about Applebee's?
Right.
Why aren't we talking
It's
about
like why do you
yes,
think you've been losing all the hosting and Emmys? Like this has been bad lately.
like this
Mhm.
and this has been a season that people have really been like talking
Yeah.
about, like very culturally significant.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything that was in the like zeitgeist wasn't even addressed.
Yeah, it's a very memeable season, one
Very
could say.
memeable. And that would have been fun to see if we had like waited a little
Yeah.
bit. But I think
Yeah.
maybe did determine like I think I process why they do it like this now, because they film now the season after right before or like right during the finale. Like they're currently
Right, 'cause they're filming
filming
right now.
47.
Yeah.
And I think they really like to have that footage of people for the next season's promo.
Right,
That's my
because
theory of why they do it.
Yeah, because they used to not share casting. They would just share, they used to share the theme, and then they wouldn't
Right.
actually share any actual footage of the people. It would just be like, our next season is Ghost Island, whatever
So
that
if they kept that
means.
schedule so they could like put in the little clips of people being like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be on the Mount Rushmore of the new
Yeah.
era. Then where I lost my track.
Then
they did that,
wouldn't be, they wouldn't be able to film the finale.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeff wouldn't be there. Right.
Yeah.
So that was something I just thought about.
They could
So
figure it out.
why can't they just like contract the people from 46 out like 7 extra days then, and like make them stay for 7 extra days and like start like cutting some of the season together and
Yeah.
at least just be like, hey, this is the first challenge, like this is like the first challenge, here's some stuff, like stuff from the first challenge, or like here's some stuff from like this stuff, like just start like showing them, like not even the edit, like here's some raw stuff from this, like just to show them some things, or like even just giving them some time to like talk with each other.
Yeah.
Like how about a weekend? Like who knows?
Yeah.
Like,
Even just a night would be better than what they're doing right now. Like even
Yeah.
just letting everyone shower and eat and sleep in a bed would be better than right now.
they
Another
even
thing
do it in the
is-
Hunger Games.
Oh my God! Wow.
Before the victory tour, they have plenty of time to process.
Wow. Thank you for that. I was gonna say it. Also, the pre-merge people aren't even there,
I know.
And, like,
I
a lot
know,
of
that's
times-
so shitty.
and a lot of times I
Yeah.
really like want to hear like Jelinski again, like huge
Huge.
cultural thing in the Survivor world, and we're not gonna hear from him.
Right. At
Right,
least let him
when
out.
You've been saying several the whole season.
Yeah.
And
You
is that
literally need
Jelinski? Do we
you-
have him on the call?
It was
Did you
him.
decline?
I
No.
buttoned him.
It
I
was
buttoned him.
literally
Why do you think
so
why do you think he was on my team?
Oh my
We're close
God.
friends. We're close friends.
It was so relevant to the season they named episode 7 episode several.
Right.
Right.
Like,
Like you don't want
He's
to talk
just like-
to Banu?
oh, I want to
Right.
talk to
You know what I'm
Banu.
saying?
Right.
Great pre-merge boots this season.
Right.
Crazy.
Like it's like in remember in in Cook Islands when there was that guy who thought the woman was in love with him on the other team because she looked at him. Like
I don't, but
Oh yes. No.
Like-
How could you forget?
like that was that's a pre-merge boot. Like we needed to talk about that at the
Mhm.
reunion.
I can't
like-
imagine not talking about that.
Right. Like that happened pre-merge, and then we got to like put a little bow on it.
Yeah.
Especially because now they do the mergatory and we get no resolution
Mm.
about that at all.
Mhm.
We just never see those people, like straight up never see those people again.
Bye, Tim. Never
They
gonna
don't,
see
they
him
don't
again.
exist and they don't matter.
They exist now only in our memory.
But yeah, so I feel like it's fair to say that Maria was kind of the deciding vote here because
Yeah.
I mean, you tell me if you disagree with this, but Ben probably would have voted for Charlie
It seems to be that in his
if there,
exit
if
press,
there was a tie.
in
his
his
own
exit
words.
press, in
In
his
his own
exit
words.
press, he has said that he would vote for Charlie. He would have voted for Charlie. So
Well, there you
it's
go.
pretty, and also Tevin was on the fence. Something else
Yeah,
to note.
Tevin was
Tevin
on
said,
the
"I'm
fence."
between two," and I think we know who those two were.
Right.
So
But he definitely would have voted for Liz.
Yeah. Well, he might have been. Yeah, he might have been voting for Ben. You don't know.
No, and I don't know. I don't really.
But for me, what was like kind of frustrating was the fact that Maria kept kind of changing her reasoning why.
Mhm.
And when it was I feel like it was kind of clear that she just was a little bitter.
Well, apparently as Frankie noted earlier today, when he said, raise your hand if you changed your mind after listening to the arguments, she did not raise her hand. So she went in voting Kenzie. Like it wasn't even because Kenzie, and she said Kenzie explained her argument. Like she explained her game really well. And like, that's all
Yeah.
true, you know?
And that's fine if you want to vote for
Yeah.
her. It's really like
Yeah.
if you think she played the best game, but it's
Yeah.
just like things aren't really lining up with your story.
Yeah, I do.
And I don't really respect that. Like
I
stand on your
do.
own 2 feet.
For sure.
And how about say it with your whole chest?
Yes.
How about you look at the person that you called the uncle to your children, which I don't like, in the eye, and say, you know what? I didn't like the fact that my plan to vote you out backfired. I didn't like the fact that I wasn't sitting next to you at final, and I couldn't bring myself to vote for you. So I'm voting for Kenzie because I think she played a better game than you. Because if Maria's whole thing was, I want to set an example for my children, then what example are you setting for your children? By going back on your word? Like when you look at Charlie and you say, you have my word, you have my vote, you have my word, you have my vote, like that's not it. That's not your word. That's not your,
Yeah.
like, I think it's very, like, That's horrible. That's awful. And I also think that, like, I do think that it was very commendable that I think that Charlie knew, like, obviously he knew he was on national television. And I think he knew, like, he's 25, like, he's a young man who has grown up with the internet, and he knows that, like, what he says, like, will stay forever. But I think that he had every right to turn around and look at Maria and be like, you hurt me. Like what you did hurt me, because I thought I could count on your vote, and I thought you were my friend, and like, I forgive you, but it's going to take a while to, like, forgive me, because you could have just won me $1 million, and like, you didn't. So
yeah, I think I have more grace than most for her, because I don't think that she is beholden to those things that she said in the game, but I do think it is deeply hurtful that happened, and I just really feel bad for Charlie in that moment, like finding that out, and then again in the after show finding out the way that it happened. I also don't understand her choice, because she clearly thinks that she was the best person to win, and as I have said, they have played in such tandem that a vote for Charlie is almost a vote for Maria. And if I'm Maria and that's my ally, and I know we played like every move together pretty much. I know that I know like that person's game better than anybody else, because I witnessed it firsthand. And you know, in the edit, we see how good a game Charlie played, especially with Maria. I just don't understand a world in which you don't vote for him, you know. And I think it is just because she was upset, you know.
Yeah. And like, I kind of have been thinking about this all day, and I agree, like, because there have definitely been like times when you have like someone's closest ally, and then like you don't vote for them in the end, and like it's whatever. But
Right.
the way that she was speaking to him in the game, like, I felt like she was trying to force it out of him. Like, she was like, I'm voting for you and you're voting for me, right?
Right.
Because like, I think she was trying to kind of get it like out of him to be like you have my vote and I have your vote, right?
Yeah.
Because
Which
like,
is like, I don't really, sorry, not to cut you off, but
yeah,
you know, if that's the game that she's playing in like a sneaky,
yeah,
manipulative way, it's like, I respect that. I just didn't like her like switching up her
yeah.
her
Yeah.
reasoning.
I almost like, and like, I almost think that like it was kind of brushed over like a little bit. Like, I don't know. I guess I also don't know how much I would have liked them to talk about it, because I think that it like I didn't want them to dwell on it, but I
with
think
Charlie,
that, like,
who's like barely in his
Who's
body.
looking at the
Yeah.
ground, like losing his mind.
Poor
like
guy.
trying not to cry.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
But
like
yeah,
trying not to cry.
I will just say, like, even though like we're like frustrated with some of the things that, you know, she said / did, like the people, can we not like do the death threats? Like,
I know, it's very
I mean, I
intense.
don't
let's
wish she
grow
was
up a little
dead.
bit.
Right.
Let's grow
I
up a
think-
little bit, okay?
Yeah.
I do think that people
Like,
love to
oh no, she
catastrophize
didn't
the
pick Liz for Applebee's. I
Mhm.
think we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about rewards drama? Because there was a lot of it.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
I
Maria
loved
just
it.
played like
I
kind of
loved
a
it.
crazy game. I think if you look at the whole game, I think Maria just was like if you look at that, like, that was kind of wild.
I
Like,
also
yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, it's like, I think it, I guess I think that like Maria's edit wasn't like it wasn't a good enough expose on Maria like playing the game that she played, because had they done a more focus like on Maria, like the way that they tried to do with like Shan and Ricard, it could have been a little bit more focused on like the game that Maria was trying to play. And then I think it could have been a better like reveal to Maria like trying to vote out Charlie and then it not working, and then like a better reveal to like Maria not voting for Charlie, and then it would have been a little bit more like dramatic. But maybe they were just trying not to do that. And then we don't have to talk about this anymore. But totally forgot about totally forgot about Maria making them rock, paper, scissors. I totally
Yeah, okay. Let's
Well,
walk through the whole rewards
So
saga.
I want to say something about the rewards, because something that I think was interesting from this season is this is the first time in so long that the rewards have had game impacts in general. It was so good.
What they've been doing the past couple seasons is just like putting them on teams and then just being like, okay, this team wins. But like, yeah, like give us something that like could create some like some drama or like tension. And boy, did they get their
I don't want to credit the producers for this either, though, because because they've had people,
they're giving them pasta salad.
They've had people pick in the past few seasons, but everyone is so diplomatic about it, and like it just doesn't, people don't use it for selfish like game reasons. They don't use it for like whatever. It's all very like kumbaya, whatever. But this season people were not willing to sit by without food.
I mean, okay, so clearly, I mean, the first big thing is the Q winning and Liz begging for Applebee's.
Yes.
And I'm sure, I mean, we've all seen the clip. Iconic.
We know, yes.
Incredible. And he's like, Liz, you voted for me. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm gonna pick people that I'm hoping to work with. And
which was 100% the right thing to do.
Yeah, and also like you decided to come on Survivor when you're allergic to everything, so it seems like a you problem, not me.
Right. Like, yeah, like Liz can only be mad at herself for choosing this experience where your diet is coconut. Like in the new era,
sorry, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like in the new era, you're not getting this, you're not getting rice, you're not getting beans, you're getting coconut from the trees, and you knew that coming in. So
well, maybe if she didn't suppress her emotions, she wouldn't be allergic to everything.
Well, that's why she has to speak her mind, because years of suppressing your emotions made her allergic to coconut.
That was an interesting medical finding from Liz.
The funny thing is that like it actually just screwed Q so bad that he did that. Like it didn't even benefit him at all to not pick her.
He didn't get voted out for weeks though.
It's
he stuck
true,
around
but
for like 4 or 5 more weeks.
It's true, but Maria was his only path to the end at that point. Like everyone who was on that island still with Liz was like mad at him. Everyone was team Liz in that decision.
Yeah, but I am obsessed with everyone being on their high horse about the Liz thing with Q, and then next week Maria does the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the difference there is she was like trying to make it like a morality thing. Like I'm gonna make the ethical choice here, and then was like, actually, never mind. You two rock paper scissors, I guess.
Yeah, which was a horrible decision on her part.
Q's sitting there like she should not have picked me.
Yeah, like he just ate, and like
the food has not come out of his body yet.
It's interesting because it doesn't feel like it was yesterday for us, but it was like legitimately the day before for them.
Yeah, and then especially like how in the confession, or like, okay, that whole thing that was like disturbing, that she was like, okay, like play rock paper scissors, and then someone was like, I'm not begging for this, like that was disturbing. And then how like the whole thing with the next reward with the loved ones, and then like Maria didn't get, it was Charlie who won and Maria didn't get picked, and she was like having a full-on breakdown because she couldn't read the letters from her kids. And then in the confessional she was like, Charlie and I have an agreement that neither of us were going to pick each other for the rewards, but this still hurts. And it's like, what agreement do you have? Like if you knew that neither of you were going to pick each other, like why are you still like, what, like you knew you weren't going to get picked for this? Like it was just,
I mean, I think she's just like sad that she doesn't get to hear from her kid.
I'm sure, but it was still
I think if it were Applebee's or whatever, I don't think she would care.
Right. But the other thing is like, I was thinking about that, like the implications of so other seasons of Survivor, previous seasons of Survivor, like they did not emote in front of each other like this. Like they were not vulnerable in front of each other like this. and like the implications of these people just like crying in front of each other, holding each other, like breaking down like this, that's why people get so like messed up when like they're getting voted out, because like I'm not saying it's like unhealthy, but like it was just a game before, and the fact that they are like creating these bonds is what's making it so intense. When things are happening, when they're like having to make these tough decisions. And like I think the whole Maria thing, when she was just like laying there sobbing all day, was really illustrating that point. Like during that one specific reward challenge, she's like, I'll be okay, I just need to do this.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that would be me though. I'm such a crybaby. I would be crying out there.
I'm not saying that crying is bad, because I also cry, but I'm just saying that like this is also part, like them actually like crying in front of each other is part of this like new era of Survivor. Is
like
them
go off into the woods and cry in isolation. Is that?
I just think that like until season 41, people were not like crying in this way. Like people were not, or at least it wasn't shown
with the same like intensity. Sure,
it is it is possible the edit is now just prioritizing it because they like to humanize the contestants much more than they were before.
Because I think that I will take that back, because I think that there was a lot of emoting on blood versus water, but that's because their families were there, so the stakes felt a little bit higher. But like there's just a lot of like shown intense emotions on this season, and a lot of like tight shots on their face like while it's happening.
Also tight shots on feet.
So much feet. So something about being on Survivor is you gotta get ready for your feet to be front and center.
Everything is very visceral now. Everything's very visceral.
Slow motion, action shot, mud, so much mud. Sand on the face.
Liz's glasses, totally.
Girl, you gotta wash them off. All right. So I think we're gonna move on to just the promo for 47. Did you guys have any thoughts?
I do just want to say that I just really love Charlie. So happy I picked him for my team. And I also just love his his statement about how the jury picks the right winner. Yeah, because I really thought that was nice, and I also think it's true, because like the jury is part of this process, and it's something you have to face. So you can never really say someone didn't deserve to win, because if they won, they deserved it by the metrics of this game. Yeah. So I did think that was a good statement from him, Kenzie's win, because she did, and also regardless of obviously there are some winners people are less happy with, even though they did go through the jury process. I do think Kenzie's a good winner. So big congrats to Kenzie. I was very happy with the story of the season.
Definitely. I guess I will say, I just want to say I love Jess. Since we're just
Jessica Holt?
No,
not me. No.
I thought we were just naming contestants that we really enjoyed.
And I also just wanted to say, because go. Who's your favorite?
No, go ahead. I have to think of one.
Well, it's gonna be Jelinski.
No, it's not.
Well,
is it random?
We didn't get to talk about people's teams. Who was the person you were happiest with on your team?
I mean, I'm obsessed with Venus.
Well, and she also lasted the longest.
Yeah, I mean, she's an icon. A legend. Great juror, great reactions on the jury.
Mine would be Soda. Mine would be Soda, because I think that she had a very coherent jury. I think she had a very coherent read.
I agree.
She was like,
she was a fantastic juror.
She was dead on. She was like this, and this, and she was completely like dead on. And she was like, I've been here the longest, and this is what I feel. I think she voted for Charlie, and she was like, my heart says Kenzie, but my head says Charlie. She went with her head. And she said like that she appreciated them sharing, which I thought was nice because she works with children, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's a teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was my favorite person.
Interesting that
team.
we named the only two normal jurors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Soda and
normal
Venus.
jurors. Thank
They
God.
were like
for
they
them.
addressed their concerns while not being like complete dicks about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing who you love.
The last thing I want to say was that during Fire, I thought that they should have brought out Mo for good measure because it was Kenzie and Liv. So like, just bring out Mo. Have you ever seen them all in the same room? And we never will because she wasn't present at
the side by side
So
of them
true.
on the bench in the pre-merge, the two benches, it was giving like Parent Trap. Like
my
the split
God.
screen and like
Yeah.
Lindsay Lohan's filming like two different things, but they just splice it together. Anyway, okay. So the 47 promo. 47. Okay, I'm already over it.
All right, whatever.
Yeah, I've been over it since the beginning.
I thought it was funny.
The promo?
Oh no, the
47.
Yeah.
I think it was funny like for a while. I think within the past like one episode, I've been like, all right.
Yeah.
I didn't really think it was funny because he wasn't on your team, right?
Exactly. Okay, I guess we don't have many thoughts about it.
Well, you seemed like you wanted to say something.
Well, yeah, I was gonna ask
about 47. Okay, I mean, I honestly kind of tuned out by that point, but it was very cinematic and epic, and I'm very excited to see Asia play. So
same.
It's seeming like it's giving like a Forged in Fire.
Situation. Let's talk about the bats. Bats are like the icon.
Flying foxes. It's the largest species of bat in the world.
Interesting. Thank you. And then there was something else. It was like on the logo, it was something white at the bottom. It was maybe like a flower or like a mushroom or something. I gotta look at it. You guys talk. I'll look for it.
But it looks like a good group. The two we already named, and I know that there's one. I don't remember their name, but there's one person who is somewhat ingrained in like the Survivor world. Teeny that people will really love. Like a lot of the like former contestants were like,
Eliza posted about it, I think.
Yeah.
It's skulls. I don't know what I was thinking of. It's skulls and
novel
bats.
concept. Novel concept. Survivor doing skulls.
That's huge.
Crazy.
It's really giving Halloween.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah. But they seem like a fun group. I do like that the one person said that they want to be on the Mount Rushmore of the new era. This leads me to my question. Who is currently on the Mount Rushmore?
That's a really good question. Okay.
We
definitely.
Sorry. We didn't talk about how much they talked about Carolyn in the reunion. Like they talked about Carolyn for like 5 minutes.
I genuinely tuned out after they started talking.
That's what I'm saying. We're talking about Carolyn for this long, but we're not talking about Banu.
Yeah,
we're not even gonna show Jem going out with her idol.
So true. Great point.
The erasure,
just because it didn't happen.
Anyone who's on the jury, the erasure is crazy.
Just because it didn't happen in a row with the other ones doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Right. Yeah.
But let's talk about Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore.
The one person I think is solidly there is actually I don't know. It's hard. You can only pick 4. I just feel like D.
I was gonna say D
for sure.
Like needs to be there, in my opinion.
She used her feminine wiles, and for that, I must put her on Mount Rushmore.
I do feel like Marianne really represents the new era.
I agree with that too.
Fine, let's pick the 4. Let's pick the 4 female.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but I think Carolyn might have a spot as well.
That's true.
Yeah,
I would agree. She's been. I mean, like we said, they can't stop talking about her. They talked about her in the preseason interviews and at the reunion. Everyone said they wanted to be Carolyn.
Right. No, she's like just made such an impact. It's crazy.
because
yeah,
she
I
was
don't.
the first person who was like, I can like be myself and scream out here. We're
Which
like,
is also
okay.
like Marianne in a lot of ways.
And
Yeah.
then everybody took that very to heart this season, where it's like, oh great, I'll be myself. And then Liz was like, I haven't pooped the whole time I've been out here. And it's like, right, you haven't eaten the entire time you've been out here. So like that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess Jam Jam's probably the biggest male candidate, or like Jesse, but like Jesse,
I was
know.
thinking Jesse, but honestly,
like
like
Jesse.
I like Jesse too, but I have sort of forgotten about him in the past.
He couldn't get it done, I think, which kind of knocks him off.
I was thinking about him today when I was thinking about the Maria and Charlie thing, because I remember when he voted out Cody, and it was like he voted him out like right in front of his face, and he just got up and like stuck his hand out for him to shake it. And I remember that they would look at each other in the eye, and then like it was okay. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I know Jesse is someone that when he got out originally, I was like, I need to see him back. So I definitely, but I mean, are we? I feel like we need to talk about 41, like the.
I mean, I love that.
The establishing Shan, like, and they established the new era too. So like, I feel like they really like should be represented on the Mount Rushmore. But yeah. I don't know. It's hard.
It is hard, and we don't have to lock anything in. It's just a thought experiment.
It's a fun one, but I actually thought it was going to be easier because I thought there were less impressive people from the new era, but there's actually quite a lot of people who've made it and made an impact, and we're 6 seasons in now. So
Jess, you're so dark now.
I know the sun's going away. So
do we have a light? Oh,
it's weird, but
yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. So I guess like, what players from this season would you like to see again?
I definitely want to see both Maria and Charlie back.
I was gonna say,
yeah,
I need to see it.
Not to be toxic.
Okay, you better watch out. This woman loves Charlie.
I do love Charlie,
and I love Jessica Chong, so it's fine.
No, I love Charlie. I said it with my chest.
Like Charlie today. I don't know.
Oh my god, I'm in my Yanu green. No, I'm a huge Charlie fan.
Wait, she's blushing.
Oh my god. No, wow. I do. I think
you never saw him in person. I think he would know just what to say to you.
Oh, I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna compete with him in the Taylor Swift song competition. That's what I'm gonna ask him to do.
Yeah.
You know that he'd have a very
I might lose her because I still haven't finished listening to Torture Poet Society. And you know
Department is what it's called.
All of a sudden, Kay's screen just goes black.
So thank you all for being here. I guess I have to take off my wedding ring.
No, but like genuinely, Charlie's my favorite player from the season. I loved him from start to finish. I also picked him on my team, and I feel like I have a vested interest in him because I was in the minority liking him in our little draft. So
I'm at multiple times throughout this season, I texted our group chat, Charlie is cute.
Yeah,
he's a little cutie patootie.
He's a little cutie.
Cute. I can accept that. And here's something about me. I'm 29. I'm going to be 30 in December. He's 25. I consider him like a son to me. So what does that say about Maria? Because I think that he's too young for me to date. I think 5.5 years is a little too young for me. But I respect him. I consider him like somebody that I would like to nurture. I don't consider him like a brother or an uncle
to my children. Yeah.
I do think I have a soft spot for men who know how to interact with women in a very like kind and respectful
and like aren't
way.
afraid to be a little feminine sometimes.
Yes.
I hard agree. So Charlie for sure, and Maria because we're toxic.
Yes. I also genuinely loved Maria as a game player.
Me too.
Like I really want to see her
both
play
of them
again.
being back together would be
messy.
And I want to see
Maria. Let's talk about people we'd like to see Maria play with specifically.
I want to see Tiff and Q back for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, God, Q is such
I feel like those are the big
bright spot in the I know, and I guess my thing about Charlie is I don't know if he has more game to play is my thing because he came so close. but I would be curious to see, you know.
I think he would come back, but like, I don't know. I think you're exactly right. I just like don't
Mhm.
know what he would do, you know?
Yeah.
I think he should wait a while and then come back. Like I don't think he should come back for 50, but I think like he needs to kind of like let it simmer for a while.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
well,
I
I was gonna
agree.
wrap it up, but go
No,
ahead.
we're good. Yeah, I was gonna say
All
I think
right.
that's it for me.
I think this is a good transition because we will be doing like a little fan cast slash semi-realistic cast of Survivor 50 momentary, I don't know, within the next couple weeks or so. Just for fun. It will not include anyone from seasons 47 through 49. So obviously, you know, take that with a grain of salt. But we will be going through that. It'll be really fun. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. You know, not to be cringe, but you can like subscribe or like follow us on Instagram or whatever. If you want to see that. And we're also doing a Survivor Skinny Atlas deep dive for our production of Survivor. So check that out if you have seen the season. And then we're doing a new season soon. Survivor All In with production ma'am Frankie and maybe some contestants are
Maybe
present
some
in the call.
contestants.
Maybe.
Perhaps undetermined.
Perhaps.
Yet to be decided.
Who
TBD.
knows? But we will be doing like a cast analysis and Brant Steele, which will be an accurate
Yes.
prediction.
Oh,
of,
I'm excited for the
I-
Brant Steele.
Yeah.
Don't let me predict because
it's an accurate simulation of what will happen exactly. That's why we're doing it, just to get like a leg up.
Yeah, we're gonna analyze what the computer says will 100% happen.
Yeah. So really, really fun stuff. I'm excited. So if you're into really niche stuff like that, check it out. And with that, I think ma'ams are signing off.